Help support the companies that support our community. All right, I'm going to turn a hybrid box today. I just did an article for Woodcraft magazine where I turned a similar blank like this. We're going to do a little bit different style this time, but this blank is from Zac at NVwoodwerks. So the wood inside of it, I just text him. It's brown Mallee burl. It's Mallee. I don't know how to pronounce that. Somebody sent it to him and they told him that it's like turning stone. It's hard and it's been stabilized too. And then Zac put a bunch of this cool glitter stuff in it. It's yellow and it looks like it has some pearl in it too. So I just glued a waste block on the end of it so I don't waste any of that. So I'm going to do a little bit different style than we did for the article, but let's go ahead and put it on the lathe and get started. I just drilled a couple little holes in it to center it up. The wood comes up in there quite a bit, so I'm going to true it up first to find out exactly where that wood ends, because I'd like to maybe incorporate a little bit of that in with it too. And I'm using the negative rake finisher. All right, I got it cut off. It was taking forever, so I took it on the bandsaw and cut it off. What I'm going to do is make the recess that the tenon here will go into. So I'm going to go ahead and make that first, and then shape the top of the lid a little bit and part that off, and then we'll go ahead and put it on the box and finish off the top of it. I'm just going to go in there and make that recess and clean all of this up. All right, I'm going to get my tub of water and sandpaper all set up, and then I'll go ahead and finish the inside here and this lip, and then I'll start working on this and get it parted off. Just going to run through all the grits and keep checking it to make sure I'm getting all the sanding scratches out. And oh, that looks really cool. And then I'll put a fine scratch remover on it after I get up there a ways. All right, I went up to 600 there. I'm going to go ahead and use some of the Yorkshire grit It's the microfine paste. All right. Oh, that's gorgeous. Gorgeous. All right. So what I'm going to do now is come over here, and I'm going to try and shape as much of the lid as I can before I part it off, so that when I stick it on the base of the box, I don't have a ton of work to do on it. I made the recess on the lid just a little bit smaller than this, so I'm going to bring this down a little bit and then get this to fit on there nice and tight before we finish off the top of it. Same process here. I'm going to run through all the grits wet up to 600 and then put on the micro polish, and then we'll clean out the inside of this and finish shaping the foot. But that's pretty cool. Let's get this lid off here and we'll get the inside of this thing cleaned out. All right, so it goes on pretty tight right now, but I still have to do a little bit of sanding and all of that. So I left it pretty tight so that if I do hit that with sandpaper, it's not gonna be too loose, but very cool. And then that chunk of wood there lines up with that. Sorry about that, the camera didn't kick on, or I forgot to hit the record button. I just drilled it out with a Forstner bit. I just kind of cleaned it up a little bit on the edges and then drilled it out with the Forstner bit to get the majority of it out. Now I'm gonna go ahead and finish hollowing it out, and I got the negative rake on the #1 hollower. I got it all cleaned out, the wall thickness is even, so I'm going to clean up the bottom of it just a little bit. I've had the dust collector on, so I'm just going to do that real quick, and then we can sand the inside of it and then start bringing the foot down just a little bit. Same process here. I'm going to run through all the grits and then put polish on the inside of it. Lay speed back down. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and come around the corner here just a little bit before I sand this up, and then I'll part it off after I get it all sanded, and we'll make a jam chuck and finish off the bottom. I just turned down a waste block here to use as a jam chuck. So let's pop that on there, bring the tailstock up, and put a little bit of pressure on it. I'm going to turn that off, cup out the bottom just a little bit, and I'll leave just a little bit in the center, and I'll have to finish that by hand. But we'll get most of it turned and sanded on the lathe. So that right there, I'm just going to cut that off and just hand sand that little nub there. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more with the detailing tool. Actually, I think I'm going to use the fine detailing tool. And that way I can get it as small as I can. I don't have a whole lot of sanding to do. Now this one's quite a bit sharper than the other one. Did it. All right. And then I'll just hit that with a little bit of sandpaper and work my way through again and finish that off. There we go. It's 3.5 inches in diameter and about 4 3/4 inches tall. And again, I got the blank from Zac at NVwoodwerks. I'll put a link down below in the description. It's really cool. Love the glitter. That burl is just beautiful. The burl does have a lot of little cracks in it. So when he cast it, the resin went into those, except for the very bottom, had a couple of little voids in it. I think just the way it was cast or when it was stabilized. But I used the Starbond black CA glue to fill in those little cracks, and it works fantastic, and it looks just like the other ones where the resin actually went in. But love the glitter. As I was mentioning before, I'll put a link down below to Woodcraft magazine too. They have an article. I did a hybrid box article on that. It's step by step on how to do them, but very fun project. I really enjoyed it, and I know I've said it before, but if anytime I do resin turning and I'm sanding with water, I have the robust with the stainless steel bed, but if you don't, make sure you get all that cleaned off, get it wiped up, spray it down with WD-40 or something, because if you leave that water on there, it will rust. So make sure you get that lathe cleaned up. But fun project. I really enjoyed it. Like the way it came out. Love the glitter and the color. Very cool. All right, if this is your first time here, please, all the positive stuff, subscribe, like, share the video. All right, till next week, take care.